I haven't signed anybody. They okay? We can look on.
Put something on.
I don't know if I have any tape.
It's not that much.
Thank you all for attending. I'd like to call to order the meeting of the Broome County Industrial Development Agency of August 18th, 2021. And looking for a motion to approve the minutes of our July 21st, 2021 board meeting.
Motion, Dan.
Thank you, Dan. Is there a second?
Second, Dan. The other.
Don't get the two Dan's confused. Thank you, Dan. Are there any comments? We'll have a vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? We come to the part of our agenda where we have a public comment session. Anybody wishing to speak on any matter concerning the IDA, please state your name and address for the record and limit your comments to 5 minutes. Yes, sir.
Dave Adler, 30 Vestal Ave, Binghamton. Speaking in regard to the Oakdale Commons project, which I am in favor of the pilot, as long as it benefits the community as a whole, more than what I'm looking at the plan now. As I mentioned during the public comment meeting, I'm for it. Manufacturing is not appropriate for the site in my mind. The rest of his ideas are good if the layout is appropriate. 5 football fields of manufacturing, which is about 25% to a third of the mall, taking away that retail space. When there's enough industrial space throughout the county that could fit the needs of that tech manufacturer would be a better idea than going to the mall. As the Lord's rep mentioned at the public comment period as well, the mall property is at the center of the region with access via highways for people not only in the community, but other nearby counties and people traveling through. And that's more important to successful retail than it would be to that manufacturing there, as well as more important than the healthcare. And access to healthcare is important, but it's even more so for retail at that location. The access is one reason why Wegmans is so successful in Johnson City. Over 33,000 cars are facing north on 201 at the Harry L. Drive intersection on average daily. And when you combine that with vehicles coming from all the other directions, that is a very busy intersection and area. And 15,000 of those cars coming through that area go to Wegmans every day. People in the community say the mall is dead or is dying, and that's part of its decline. The misinformed rumors. Even when the mall was over 80% occupied before Macy's closed, people commonly said there was nothing there for anyone, even though it was almost 80% full. The recent release of population statistics from the census points to another rumor that constantly is here, which is that the population of Broome County and the city of Binghamton is declining. While there was a slight decline in the county numbers, the city of Binghamton actually grew. According to the 2020 census. Another rumor is that brick and mortar retail is dead. It is actually alive and well and growing. Buying online and pick up in store is a large part of retail's future, not only for behemoths like Target and Walmart or regionals like Wegmans, but even small stores that are at the mall like Hot Topic, GameStop, Foot Locker, Hollister, Eddie Bauer, Shoe Department, and American Eagle. Those stores are at the mall and are doing well. They would do better if the mall had a face to the front, which was not vacant which would also stem the rumors. And it should be retail, not healthcare in that location. If the 60 stores and services at the mall are displaced, there's not enough room for them elsewhere in the county at this time. And also, just because there's available space does not mean that it fits their needs. On the Parkway right now, there's 11 vacant and available spots that equal to about 99,000 square feet. And then there's 4 spots that equal 25,844 square feet, which are occupied by temp leases that could also be used. At the mall, there's 9 stores that already have 2 locations in the area or more. That's only 18,000 square feet of the mall. There's 28 national chains at the mall, equaling about 275,600 square feet that could be displaced if not done correctly. And obviously that's over double what's available on the Parkway at this time. Then there's 23 local businesses that could be displaced. All could, and given the comment that I heard at the August 4th meeting, I am concerned about their concern with temporary or local leases. So that's 23 local businesses that could be affected by the change and all the sales tax that goes along with it. So there's about 15 available spaces on the Parkway. Not all are desirable or appropriate sizes for the businesses currently at the mall. There are also some small vacant parcels available, but not all of them will be able to build. So the available space on the Parkway comes to about 125,450 square feet, and there's 293,646 square feet of national tenants alone. 5 minutes? Okay. So there's a lot of stores that would like to come to the area, and if the mall's displaced, we can't get like Gabe's or Hobby Lobby, different things like that. There's a lot more than just what's currently there, and thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Anybody else like to speak at this public comment session?
I'll take a crack at it. John Sola, Binghamton, New York. Busy man, got a big deal pending with the can man later on this afternoon. So, you know me, recycling at all costs. Save these for me weekly. Well, you know how I feel about this. My comments in the public hearing, I refer to the other side of Reynolds Road, which you have Mooney's Beer and Burgers and Health Club. That side of the road's been there since service merchandising came in the middle 70s. I don't know what you're going to do for them, but put them under. That's tenuous. Maybe that's the plan here. To have the Oakdale Mall put the other side, the revitalized Matthews Mall, put the people on the other side of the street that are paying full taxation to either force them into bankruptcy or whatever. Now, I dispute this theory that Mr. Matthews is holding over your head. You know, if the municipalities lose this assessment case, boy, you know, we're coming in just in time to save everything. You can throw that out. That's a canard because, quite frankly, if we were to apply that, then half the property on the Vestal Parkway is under assessment challenge. I mean, there's so many assessments being challenged now. If we use that, boy, you know, that's thing. Now, the Matthews family, what's their track record? Well, they have a successful track record in the automobile business. They had a successful track record in the hockey team. They had a successful track record in the electrician. They flipped property downtown Binghamton, Family Bargain Center comes to mind. But I don't see a great track record in development. They're, I guess, a quasi-exclusive developer for Lord's medical facilities. But I see nothing that would indicate that they would be successful in this project. Now let's go to the Vestal Plaza, way back. Vestal Plaza was built, California architecture, beautiful plaza. Then Kmart came in, was attached. That shunned out the department store that was there, brought in a different clientele. Then the Kmart was pushed into manufacturing, contract electronics, whatever you want to call it. I don't know who's there, Schenck Industries, Atlanta. And that finished off that plaza. So these things don't mix. You know, you need people with retail experience. I was involved with Sears for a while, and I can tell you this, and I didn't think it was gonna work. The softer side of Sears, if you remember that, they brought in a guy from Saks Fifth Avenue, Ed Martinez, and he redid the stores, and I said, this will never work. Well, it did. You know why? Because the guy had like 25 years of retail experience. He knew what he was doing. I don't think the Matthews family knows what they're doing, except for retail automobiles. Now, the fact of the matter is Joe always issues this proviso that, you know, we're accepting the application as a commission, but now we're down to the same path we were. We like to put teeth into this deal, but we can't put too much teeth into this deal because it's unfair, because they already got their application in. You know, this is stretching it a lot. So the fact of the matter is, they can put this in the real, as soon as the deal is signed, they can put this in the list as property and flip. Let's not kid ourselves. And the size of this deal, and you know, let's go back to the Matthews bankruptcy. These were big bankruptcies. These were two of the three biggest bankruptcies in Broome County history. And I've said this before, when the IDA gets involved in a project, they lend their imprimatur, their gravitas to the project. And what happens is other people, vendors, think, well, gee, that's okay with the IDA. Let's lend it. If they get stuck, in my mind, you guys are responsible because you approved the project. So I don't know. I don't think this is going to work. I question the track record. I think it's going to make a nice addition for their grandchildren's legacy to pass on to them. They may be the only ones left. That may be true. But I'll tell you this, and I'm consulting for a chain that's in a lot of malls. I've been all over the state in the last 4 weeks. I can tell you this, there's a big difference between an outfit like Benderson and the way their products are landscaped and the way they're done than what's done around here. And also keep in mind that when Newman and Ankle came here for their special favors, they already had a track record of success before they came cup in hand to this agency. Matthews does not have a substantial track record of success. And I think this is a bad deal. I think it'll come back to haunt you. And I think it'll come back a lot sooner. And of course, there'll be excuses that you anticipate.
Thank you, Jim. Would anybody else like to speak at this public comment session? We'll close this session. I'm going to rearrange the agenda. One of our board meetings, one of our board members, excuse me, may have to leave a little early, so I don't want to miss or have him miss any of the resolutions. So we're going to address those first, and then we'll come back to the executive director's report. Item number 6, resolution accepting an application from LCP Group Inc. and authorizing sales and use tax exemption in an amount not to exceed $98,800, consistent with the policies of the agency, in connection with the renovation of the former National Pipe and Plastics manufacturing facility into a multi-use facility to be located at 3421 Vestal Road in the town of Vestal, Broome County, New York. Stacy.
Yes, this is an application from LCP Group, who is planning to purchase and renovate the former National Pipe and Plastics facility on Old Vestal Road. They plan to renovate the space to put LCP Group operations, utilizing about 30,000 square feet of that space to grow their asbestos demolition and recycling business. In addition, they'll update and remodel excess space of the facility to offer space for lease. Approximately 115,000 square feet of space will be available. I can tell you that it's, as mentioned last time, this came up a number that we did here and before. We can't currently well accommodate. So we're interested in having that space available. The space would be best suited for shared space for commercial and industrial companies, including construction, recycling, and manufacturing warehouse space. The total project costs on this are roughly $3.1 million. The amount requested in sales tax exemption is $98,800. And just a reminder that the governance committee did already move this at our previous governance committee meeting on the left.
Thank you, Stacy. Are there any accident to go to our mayor? Mayor, was this discussed in governance?
Yes, we move it forward as a motion to approve.
So that is the motion. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Are there any comments, questions, suggestions? We'll call for a vote. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Carried. Item number 7, resolution authorizing the extension of the lease agreement by and between the agency, Boscov's Department Store LLC, the Binghamton Local Development Corporation, and the City of Binghamton dated as of May 1st, 2013, for an additional 1-year term commencing May 1st, 2021, and terminating April 30th, 2022, on the same terms and conditions as set forth therein, including the payment of rent in the amount of $135,061 during the extension term. Stacy.
So our participation in this, I think, dates back, Rich, I think it's at least 10 years now that our role with this arrangement for a pilot agreement that is between the Boscov's Department Store and the City of Binghamton LLC. It sets the terms for the lease payment. We do renew this on an annual basis. We do feel it's important to support this effort to retain Boscov's as one of the few remaining downtown department stores. It's been identified as a priority in the City of Binghamton, and we have Mayor David here. Should any questions, thank you for coming. So this action will authorize me to execute the agreement between the City of Binghamton, the IEA, and Boscov's.
Governance Committee considered it and moves it forward as a motion to approve.
Is there a second? Any questions for the current mayor? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Carried. Now, Joe, you're giving me, isn't this red line or this red version the same thing?
It isn't. I made a couple corrections. I sent it, did you have the resolution I sent on this? I sent it to you. I would have him read from there. We
Yes,
changed the
that's-
numbers.
You have the one from today.
Right here, revised agenda.
That's it.
Does it, at the end, include, what number do you have?
For the property tax.
The only, I would add, pursuant to a pilot schedule.
After the dollars, pursuant to a pilot schedule.
Attached here to.
So I'm going to add a part of the sentence at the very end of this resolution. Resolution authorizing a leaseback transaction to facilitate the financing of the acquisition, construction, rehabilitation, renovation, and equipping of a portion of the Oakdale Mall located on Harry L. Drive and Reynolds Road in the village of Johnson City, town of Union, Broome County, and state of New York to be used as a mixed-use development project, including but not limited to retail, office, and commercial space, and appointing Spark JC LLC, the company, as agent of the agency for the purpose of acquiring, constructing, rehabilitating, renovating, and equipping the project, and authorizing the execution and delivery of certain documents with respect thereto, including a payment in lieu of tax agreement deviating from the agency's uniform tax exemption, a sales and use tax exemption benefit in an amount not to exceed $3,093,333, to provide a mortgage tax exemption in an amount not to exceed $933,234, and a real property tax exemption in an amount not to exceed $5,371,776 pursuant to a pilot schedule attached hereto as Exhibit A. Stacy.
Yes, so I would ask the board to refer to the materials that were provided this morning and the revised materials. And you can see we've made some modifications, continue discussions with the development team as late as last evening. So just a refresher, Spark JC proposes to acquire and renovate the current Oakdale Mall for the purposes of the development of Oakdale Commons, a multi-use facility that could include everything from a retail, healthcare, manufacturing and technology, as well as other amenities. I do want to remind the board, as discussed previously, that the items, the dollar amounts in the resolution are based on, at this stage, best projections of costs that we know and have acknowledged that are subject to change as occurs with many projects at this scale. To address some of the concerns that the board raised at our last governance committee meeting, there have been a few modifications to this proposal. We have reduced the term from 28 years to 25 years. Part of that is to run coterminous with proposed leases that are in discussions with national retailers and others. We did also modify the provision on the transference of the property. If you see in footnote 4, if all or substantially all of the project site is sold to an unaffiliated third party within 10 years, the IDA board must consent, which consent cannot be unreasonably withheld. This is related to the IDA's role in essentially reviewing any proposed sale. The 10-year, I would say, is a new provision that we've not had previously with other projects. So with that, I think.
Mayor,
Governance moves it forward. It's a motion to approve.
is there a second? Jim, thank you. Discussion, one question for how progress being made relative to the technology company that we're talking with.
I know there have been discussions as recent as this morning, looking at design and moving it forward. I've prepared a lease that's gone out for. It's in process.
Any other comments or questions? There was a motion. I'm sorry.
Yeah, so, I've wrestled with this application as we've considered it over the course of meetings. In the end, I think my frustration with it is more about the process by which we get to this point than it is about the specific application. But I do want to take a few moments to explain that, with the hope that as we consider changes to our process, that I or we don't end up in a similar posture in the future. So I don't have anything but praise for the project itself, as it's been described in other meetings. It's a strategic location, a strategic asset. The repurposing of a mall, as is proposed, is a model that has examples of success in other markets. Ideally we get there without the existing mall going through a tumbleweed phase, as phase 1 of the redevelopment at the Sears end would demonstrate. I think it's to our community's benefit that we have somebody with the capacity to handle a project at this scale, the ability to engage financial institutions at the level that this project requires, the business network to engage with prospective tenants and to have credibility with those tenants, and ultimately the expertise and wherewithal and willingness to take on the risk of the project. Those are all to our community's benefit. And I hope the project has not only the success envisioned, but even more. We're asked to participate as a partner, and projects at this scale and of this nature are appropriate targets for public-private partnership. No issue there, and no issue with the use of tax benefits as is being requested of us either. The one area where I have some concern relates to the scale of the investment that the public is asked to make, that we're asked to make on behalf of the public and the degree of information that we have or don't have upon which to make that judgment. And, you know, to explain that just a bit further, you know, a long time ago in a land far, far away, I was a graduate student in urban planning and policy. Learned a lot then about pilots and other forms of public investment, and have tried to keep current on it. You know, to bring it to a top line, you know, people that study this from a nonpartisan point of view, what will they tell you? They'll tell you that returns on pilots for municipalities and political jurisdictions aren't usually, on average, aren't great, meaning that you get kind of a low rate of return on the investment that you make. Few things from that information. One, that doesn't mean pilots are bad, right? I mean, you could get a better rate of return if the scale of the investment were smaller and you still have the same project. Be careful about making judgments on averages, right? That means some do really well and some do really poorly, and there are a bunch in between. And so the trick is really to figure out where on that graph a particular proposal is in front of you. To do that, you need, I would argue, more information than our process today tends to elicit onto the record. And so in many respects, I feel like we're asked to make a significant investment without sufficient detail on the risk that we're taking and the return that we can get from that risk and from that investment. And so, you know, in the end, the municipality has already approved a pilot, and ultimately they are the stewards of, you know, the tax revenue that comes into the taxing district. The governance committee has recommended it, staff recommends it, and I take all of that, you know, as important. But to get here and to be asked, as we have on this and in previous proposals, to make these kinds of decisions for an investment at this scale, we need to seriously undertake a revision of our process so that we end up in a position to make more informed decisions before it gets to this point where my only tool is to vote yes or vote no. And to vote no, you know, ignores the history that the applicant relies upon in terms of how these things have been treated in the past, and the degree to which the applicant already engages tenants in reliance upon that history. I hope not to be here again, but in the end, to take all of those reservations and vote no, I think is unfair to the applicant. And so I will end up supporting the application.
Foreign process. Rules, if you will.
Yeah, next Monday, so we're meeting to start, as Brian noticed, to take a hard look at the application process and see how we can make it, stronger, more encompassing, enabling us to get more information. So there's a whole host of issues to consider, and I think it'll be a very worthwhile process.
Any other comments, questions? We have a motion and a second to take a vote. All those in favor say aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carried. Back to item number 4, if you will, Executive Director's Report. Stacy?
Yeah, given the items we were covering today, I just had a few updates I wanted to provide to the board related to some of our initiatives and projects in the works. We are beginning, I believe, Brendan, in the next couple of weeks, we will begin working through our EPA assessment grant on the Endicott foraging site. So we'll begin a phase 1 and phase 2 analysis of that site. In addition, what this grant has enabled us to do is extend that boundary. So we'll actually include the corner of McKinley all the way to Hayes, and the areas to the those old IBM buildings. So we can actually do that environmental review utilizing these grant funds. And what this grant also enables us to do is do some sort of feasibility, some sort of redevelopment. So what in an ideal situation, how do we turn that proposed sort of expanded site into something higher and better? use. So we'll begin that. We think the environmental review process will take about a month. And then we'll begin to engage stakeholders in the Endicott area, in town of Union, the university potentially, and others on, how do we reimagine that site, if you will. So that's starting. We also did get approved into the program 19 Avenue B, so we can use our grant funds to assist with environmental review on that. And then just a reminder that we have the RFP for the IBM Country Club out currently, and that is expiring at the end of this month, so August 31. Brendan's been shepherding that project. I think we have at least a half dozen inquiries. He's done some walkthroughs. We're seeing mostly some increase in the housing realm, but we're also, a few individuals have reached out to us about actually just the Crocker build homestead. It's that building with the pillars that's been used for resorts and purposes events in the past. We did note in this RFP, which is that we would consider a subdivision if it was appropriate to a project. And, as well, we continue to appreciate the county's support, and we've noted the grant funds that could be available for site development costs. So hopefully we'll have an array of proposals that I can share with the board in weeks.
Is the drop dead date August 31st for proposals? Thank you, Stacey. Our internal financial reports as of and through July 31st, Teresa was kind enough to prepare. Are there questions for Teresa or Stacey or Tom?
I'll just make one note on our tenant leases. We were notified recently, NYBDC, which is now Pursuit Lending, has requested to vacate their space. They have one of the smaller offices on the second floor. The reason being is that Joanne Jones, who's here, who was their rep and using that office, has taken a new position in the community, and they do not feel that they'll have another Binghamton based. I think their next closest rep for Pursuit is in Syracuse. We offered them, the use of the office as a remote location, satellite location, but they will be through the end of this year. So we are actively seeking. No, and then on closings on our lease back fees, we have a number of closings pending. So that is always the
Please refer to space we have available right now.
with that. Oh, it's just that corner office. That can't be more than square footage on that.
I'm sorry.
What's that corner office? Is it the square footage on that corner office?
I'm gonna say 10 by 10.
Right,
Yeah, it's small.
Small.
No, yeah, it's like, you get some professional that each, like, an attorney or an accountant by themselves, that needs to do office, that'd be perfect.
Well, when Bob Sweet left NBC, we had his office in there. We were able to find a gentleman who's with Premium Mortgage Company, I think it is, Rochester, who needed a base there. So we were able to accommodate. So that's kind of a nice fit, somebody that may only need a couple days a week.
Can we offer potentially to the incubator to see if anybody, maybe.
Good idea. We might want some space, their own space. Yeah.
You have loan activity reports in front of you. Are there any questions for Tom Gray or Tom? Do you want to offer anything?
I don't have anything to add to the reports.
Just a quick question, for the pandemic last year, did we follow a check on job creation during last year, or we give everybody a pass because of the pandemic?
We didn't make it a priority.
Right, okay, I understand that.
Rich, but we do monitor it annually. Every December, every borrower gets a report they have to fill out indicating the number of jobs they started with, whether they lost any or created any. So we do monitor.
Yeah, because I figured last year I wasn't gonna really even ask the question, but I figured this year, I mean, I just think we would pay a little more attention to how the job commitments are going, because things have changed.
We have visited all of we did about 20 of those emergency loans last year. So I visited those sites to make sure that it's still in operation. We had a couple of bumps in the road with a few of them, but I wanted to make sure that our money did actually allow them to stay in business.
Many of those, that year, recall we gave the year of no deny. I think effective June, we had a number of long
They
lines.
would stay.
Yeah, and even our current, pilot,
Yes.
I was figuring, last year I wasn't gonna
We do
necessarily
it-
club them at their
Yeah.
job.
We do the job of reporting requirements for pilots because that's required through New York State through the risk reporting system. So we do typically October, November, we send out a letter that they have to certify the job. Given COVID, we certainly would understand it for some reason. Yeah, but we do maintain that annually, no matter what, because that's a requirement of the state.
Any other questions for Tom or Stacy regarding loans? Okay, then looking for a motion to go into executive session to discuss the sale of property. Thanks, Jason. Second. Say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?